My jealous stepsister destroyed my college dreams. Later I refused to help her get into med school by not writing her med school essay. I, 23M, never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am. My stepsister Lily, 23F, has always been a source of drama in our family, but her latest actions have left me shocked and conflicted. Some background: my mom passed away when I was 10 due to a rare form of cancer. She was a pediatrician, and her dedication to her patients always inspired me. I remember spending countless hours in her office after school, watching her interact with kids and their parents. Her loss hit me and my dad hard, and for a while, it was just the two of us trying to navigate our new reality. 2 years later, when I was 12, my dad remarried. He met Karen at a grief support group, and they bonded over their shared experiences of losing a spouse. Karen's first husband had died in a car accident when their daughter, Lily, was just 5. At first, I was hesitant about the idea of a new family, but I could see how happy Karen made my dad, so I tried to be supportive. Karen had a daughter, Lily, who was the same age as me. I was excited about the prospect of having a sister, imagining us becoming best friends and confiding in each other. But from the beginning, Lily and I didn't get along. She resented my dad and me for invading her life, and she made it clear that she didn't consider us family. I remember the day they moved in. Lily refused to get out of the car, screaming that she wanted to go back to their old house. It took Karen and my dad over an hour to coax her inside. When she finally came in, she took one look at me and declared, "You're not my brother, and I don't want you here." It was a rough start, to say the least. Growing up, Lily was always competitive with me, especially when it came to academics. We went to the same high school, and she would often try to one-up me in classes or extracurricular activities. If I got an A on a test, she'd make a big show of getting an A+. If I joined a club, she'd join the same one and try to take over leadership positions. I tried to keep the peace and not engage in her petty competitions, but it was exhausting. There were times when I'd intentionally hold back in class or not volunteer for things just to avoid setting her off. It felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells in my own home. Despite the tension at home, I managed to excel in school. I was a straight A student, captain of the debate team, and involved in various volunteer activities. My dream was to become a doctor, just like my late mom had been. I spent my weekends volunteering at the local hospital and summers interning at research labs. I worked hard throughout high school, preparing for college applications and the pre-med track. Lily, on the other hand, struggled academically. She was more interested in partying and her social life than studying. Our parents tried to encourage her to focus on her grades, but she dismissed their concerns. She'd often come home late on school nights, smelling of alcohol or worse. When our parents tried to set rules, she'd throw massive tantrums, accusing them of favoring me and not understanding her. I remember one particular incident during our junior year. We had a big history project due, worth a significant portion of our grade. I had spent weeks researching and putting together my presentation. The night before it was due, I came home to find Lily in tears. She hadn't even started her project and was panicking. Despite our rocky relationship, I felt bad for her and offered to help. We stayed up all night working on her project. The next day, she presented right before me and basically used all the main points from my presentation. When I confronted her about it, she just shrugged and said, "You offered to help." When it came time to apply for colleges, I spent months perfecting my applications. I researched schools, wrote and rewrote my essays, and meticulously filled out every form. I applied to several top schools, including my dream school, Harvard. My dad and I even took a trip to visit some campuses on the East Coast. It was during this trip that I felt closest to him since my mom's passing. We talked about her, about how proud she would be, and about my dreams for the future. Lily, meanwhile, barely put any effort into her applications, applying to only a few state schools at the last minute. I remember overhearing her on the phone with a friend, laughing about how she'd just copy-pasted the same generic essay for all her applications. A few weeks after submitting my applications, I noticed something odd. I hadn't received any confirmation emails from the schools I applied to. At first, I didn't think much of it, assuming there might be delays due to the high volume of applications. But as time went on and I still hadn't heard anything, I started to worry. When I checked my application portals, I was horrified to discover that none of my applications had been submitted successfully. My carefully crafted essays, my list of extracurriculars, my letters of recommendation, all of it was gone. It was as if I had never applied at all. I immediately called the admissions offices, my heart pounding with panic. Each call only confirmed my worst fears. They had no record of my applications. I spent hours on the phone, trying to figure out what had happened, but it all led to the same conclusion. Someone had deliberately sabotaged my applications. It didn't take long to figure out who was behind it. Lily had always been tech savvy, and she knew all my passwords. I stupidly used the same one for everything back then. When I confronted her, she initially denied it, but her smug expression gave her away. Eventually, she broke down and admitted what she'd done. Her reasoning? She was jealous of my success and couldn't stand the thought of me getting into a better school than her. She claimed she didn't think it would really matter since I could just apply again next year. But we both knew the truth. she had deliberately tried to derail my future. I was devastated. My dreams of getting into a top school and starting my pre-med journey were shattered. I had to scramble to apply to schools with later deadlines, and ended up settling for a decent state university instead of the prestigious schools I had originally aimed for. Our parents were furious with Lily when they found out. They grounded her, took away her privileges, and forced her to apologize to me. But the damage was done. The trust between us, already fragile, was completely broken. I spent my first year of college bitter and resentful, struggling to come to terms with how my own stepsister had sabotaged my future. I threw myself into my studies, determined to excel despite the setback. But every time I thought about where I could have been, the anger would resurface. Now, 4 years later, we've both graduated from college. I managed to do well despite the setback and have been accepted into a good medical school. It's not Harvard, but it's a respected program, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished. Lily, on the other hand, partied her way through college and barely graduated with a 2.5 GPA. She changed majors 3 times and seemed more interested in her sorority than her classes. Here's where things get complicated. Lily has suddenly decided she wants to go to medical school too. She claims she's had a change of heart and wants to follow in my footsteps. The problem is, with her low GPA and lack of extracurriculars, she has almost no chance of getting in. She's been begging me to help her prepare for the MCAT and put in a good word for her at my medical school. She's even suggested that I share my personal statement and application materials with her so she can use them as a template. Our parents are encouraging me to help her, saying it could be a chance for us to finally bond as siblings. But I can't shake the anger and resentment I still feel over what she did to me. Every time I look at her, I remember the panic and despair I felt when I realized my applications had been sabotaged. Part of me wants to refuse and let her face the consequences of her actions. Another part feels guilty for not wanting to help family. Am I wrong for not wanting to help Lily? Should I give her a second chance, or am I justified in letting her figure things out on her own? The thought of her potentially becoming a doctor when she's shown such a lack of integrity worries me. But then I wonder if I'm being too harsh, if people can truly change. I'm torn and could use some outside perspective on this situation. Update 1. Thank you all for your responses and support. I've read through every comment, and it's given me a lot to think about. I wanted to provide an update on the situation. After much consideration, I decided to have a serious talk with Lily. I invited her to meet me at a local coffee shop, thinking a neutral location might help keep things civil. When she arrived, she seemed nervous but eager, probably thinking I was going to agree to help her. I started the conversation by asking her why she suddenly wanted to pursue medicine. Her answer was vague, talking about wanting to make a difference and follow in your footsteps. When I pressed her on specific areas of medicine she was interested in or any volunteer work she'd done, she couldn't give me any concrete answers. I then explained to her that while I appreciated her newfound interest in medicine, I couldn't in good conscience help her with her medical school applications. I reminded her of how her actions had impacted my own college journey and how that breach of trust still affected our relationship. I also pointed out that medical school required a level of dedication and integrity that I wasn't sure she possessed, given her academic history and past behavior. Lily didn't take it well. Her face turned red, and she accused me of being selfish and holding a grudge. She brought up how she had apologized years ago and claimed she had changed. But when I pressed her on what exactly she had done to make amends or demonstrate this change, she couldn't give me a concrete answer. As our conversation continued, Lily's true colors started to show. She made comments about how it wasn't fair that I got into medical school when she didn't, completely ignoring the years of hard work I'd put in. She even suggested that the only reason I wouldn't help her was because I was afraid of the competition. During our talk, I also learned some disturbing information. Apparently, Lily had been telling our extended family and her friends that I was the one who had agreed to help her get into medical school. She had even gone as far as to claim that I had promised to write her personal statement and recommendation letters. When I confronted her about this, she tried to play it off as a misunderstanding. This revelation made me realize that Lily hadn't changed at all. She was still trying to manipulate situations to her advantage, regardless of the truth or the feelings of others. It was the same behavior she'd exhibited when sabotaging my college applications, just in a different form. After our meeting, I decided to set the record straight. I called our grandparents and a few other family members who Lily had spoken to. I calmly explained the true situation, including the history of Lily sabotaging my college applications. Many of them were shocked, as Lily had never told them about that incident. Some of them apologized for pressuring me to help her, not knowing the full story. My dad and stepmom got wind of what was happening and called a family meeting. They were upset that the old wounds had been reopened but seemed to finally understand my position. My stepmom, in particular, apologized for pressuring me to help Lily without considering how I might feel about it. During the family meeting, I also learned that Lily had been struggling to find a job since graduation. Apparently, she had been hoping that getting into medical school would solve her career problems, which explained her sudden interest in medicine. This information only reinforced my decision not to help her, as it was clear she wasn't genuinely interested in becoming a doctor. Lily, however, was furious about me airing our dirty laundry to the family. She accused me of trying to turn everyone against her and stormed out of the house. She's been staying with a friend and refusing to speak to any of us. In the days following the family meeting, I've received mixed reactions from relatives. Some have been supportive, understanding my position and agreeing that Lily needs to take responsibility for her own actions. Others have suggested that I should be the bigger person and help her anyway, arguing that family should always come first. I feel relieved to have finally stood my ground, but the family tension is palpable. My dad and stepmom are walking on eggshells, torn between their two children. I've decided to focus on preparing for medical school and limit my interactions with Lily for the time being. Some of you suggested that I report Lily's past actions to the university or consider legal action. After thinking it over, I've decided against it for now. While what she did was wrong, I don't want to potentially ruin her entire future. I'm choosing to move forward and focus on my own path instead. I'm still processing everything, but I feel more confident in my decision. The support from this community has been invaluable in helping me stand firm in my boundaries. Thank you all again for your advice and support. I'll update again if there are any significant developments. Update 2. It's been a few weeks since my last update, and unfortunately, things have escalated in ways I never expected. I'm still trying to process everything that's happened, but I felt I owed you all an update. About a week after our confrontation, I was at home studying when I heard a commotion outside my apartment. I opened the door to find Lily there, clearly intoxicated and causing a scene. She was yelling about how I had ruined her life and turned the family against her. My neighbors were starting to peek out of their doors, curious about the disturbance. I tried to calm her down and get her inside to avoid making more of a spectacle, but she became more agitated. In her drunken state, she tried to push past me into the apartment and accidentally knocked over a shelf near the entrance. Several framed photos crashed to the floor, and my laptop, which had been on the shelf, fell and cracked. Seeing the damage seemed to snap Lily out of her rage momentarily. She stood there, swaying slightly, looking at the mess with a mix of shock and dismay. I took the opportunity to guide her to the couch and called our parents to come get her. While we were waiting, Lily broke down crying. Through her tears, she revealed something that shocked me to my core. Apparently, she had never actually wanted to go to medical school. The whole thing had been a ploy to get close to me and access my application materials and personal statement. Her plan, she drunkenly confessed, was to use my materials as a template for her own applications, changing just enough to avoid plagiarism detection. She thought that by using my successful application as a guide, she could improve her chances of getting into a good graduate program, not necessarily medical school. I was stunned. Just when I thought Lily couldn't sink any lower, she proved me wrong. I asked her why she would go to such lengths instead of just working hard on her own applications. Her answer was both sad and infuriating. It's always been easier to take what you have than to do it myself. When our parents arrived, I told them what Lily had confessed. They were as shocked and disappointed as I was. My stepmom, in particular, seemed to finally realize the extent of Lily's manipulative behavior. She kept apologizing to me, saying she had no idea things had gotten this bad. In the days that followed, our parents had several serious discussions with Lily. They've decided that she needs professional help to deal with her issues of jealousy and dishonesty. They're also insisting that she get a job and start supporting herself, as they realize they've enabled her behavior for too long. This incident has caused me to reflect on our family dynamics over the years. I realized that in their efforts to blend our families and keep the peace, our parents had often overlooked Lily's bad behavior. They would praise her for small accomplishments while taking my achievements for granted, probably in an attempt to boost her self-esteem. In doing so, they unintentionally fostered her sense of entitlement and resentment towards me. As for me, I've decided to go low contact with Lily for the foreseeable future. I'm focusing on preparing for medical school and healing from all this drama. I've also taken steps to secure all my personal information and documents to prevent any future attempts at sabotage. I've been seeing a therapist to help me process everything that's happened, both recently and in the past. It's been helpful to have a neutral party to talk to about my feelings of anger, betrayal, and lingering guilt. This whole experience has been eye-opening and emotionally draining. While part of me is sad that my relationship with my stepsister has come to this, I also feel a sense of relief. I'm no longer carrying the burden of trying to help someone who doesn't truly want to change. Thank you all again for your support and advice throughout this ordeal. It's been invaluable in helping me navigate this difficult situation. I'll update again if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm looking forward to starting this new chapter of my life in medical school. Update 3, it's been about 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some final thoughts on this whole situation. I'm happy to report that I've started medical school and I'm loving every minute of it. The workload is intense, but it feels great to finally be on the path I've dreamed of for so long. I've made some wonderful friends and I'm excited about the future. As for Lily, things have been quiet on that front. Our parents tell me she's been seeing a therapist regularly and has gotten a job as a receptionist at a local business. She's still living at home but is supposedly saving money to get her own place. I haven't spoken to her directly since the night of her drunken confession, and honestly, it's been a relief not to have that constant tension in my life. My relationship with my dad and stepmom has improved since everything came to light. They've been making a conscious effort to acknowledge my achievements and have stopped comparing me to Lily. My dad even surprised me by driving up to my medical school and taking me out to dinner last month. We had a long talk about everything that's happened, and for the first time in years, I felt like he truly understood me. A few weeks ago, I received a letter from Lily. In it, she apologized again for her actions, both recent and past. She wrote that therapy has helped her realize the extent of her jealousy and manipulative behavior. She said she understands why I can't trust her and that she doesn't expect forgiveness, but hopes that someday we might be able to have a civil relationship. The letter seems sincere, but I'm still wary. Years of manipulation have made it hard for me to take anything Lily says at face value. I appreciate the gesture, but I'm not ready to respond yet. I'm still processing everything that's happened and focusing on my studies. Maybe someday we'll be able to have a conversation, but for now, I'm comfortable with the distance. This experience has taught me a lot about setting boundaries and standing up for myself. It's also shown me the importance of surrounding myself with genuine, supportive people. My med school friends have become like a second family to me, and I'm grateful for their presence in my life. I've also started volunteering at a local youth center, mentoring high school students who are interested in pursuing careers in medicine. It's been incredibly rewarding to help these kids navigate the college application process and share the lessons I've learned along the way. In a way, it feels like I'm honoring my mom's memory by passing on her passion for medicine to the next generation. As for my future, I'm excited about the possibilities ahead. I'm considering specializing in pediatrics, like my mom, but I'm keeping an open mind as I go through my rotations. Whatever path I choose, I know that the challenges I've faced have made me stronger and more determined to succeed. To everyone who's followed this story and offered advice and support, thank you. Your words have been a source of strength and clarity during a very difficult time. I'm looking forward to this new chapter in my life and the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. While the situation with Lily is far from resolved, I feel like I've finally found peace with it. I can't control her actions or choices, but I can control my own. And right now, I'm choosing to focus on my dreams, my education, and the positive relationships in my life. Who knows what the future holds? Maybe one day, Lily and I will be able to build a healthy relationship. But for now, I'm content with the path I'm on and the person I'm becoming. Medical school is challenging, but after everything I've been through, I feel ready to face whatever comes my way.